Paint Bucket Tool, Content Aware Fill. Hi guys, today we'll continue talking about the possibilities of filling in Photoshop. Consider the Paint Bucket Tool. It is in the same group as the Gradient Tool that we reviewed in the last lesson, and it looks like a bucket from which paint is pouring. In fact, it fully reflects what it does. So let's take this tool and look at its settings. In the top menu, we can choose wherever to fill in with foreground color or pattern. If we have the foreground color, then of course the color that we have now set as the foreground color will be selected for filling. Then in this case we can choose a pattern with which we will fill. Let's focus on the foreground color for now. We can also choose the blending modes that you are already familiar with from previous lessons, the same as with the opacity. Next, we have a tolerance, and this is exactly the same parameter as, for example, a magic wand and a magic eraser. That is, the higher the tolerance value, the more pixels close in color will be affected by the Paint Bucket Tool. And of course, all the other options I think are also clear to you. And let's try to fill it. I took this color from a cup with an eyedropper. Well, let's do it again. So, and let's try to fill the white background on this image with this color. We take the Paint Bucket Tool, choose contiguous pixels so that we won't fill in those parts of the image that we wouldn't like to fill, and just click on the background. And you see how wonderful and easy it is. That is, literally in a few clicks. And now let's take some other color, so that it is clearly visible, and take the Paint Bucket Tool and try to click on the cup and see what is going on. That is, not all pixels are filled, but only those that fall within the range specified by the tolerance. By adjusting the tolerance, you can fill in some separate parts of your image in this way. Not in all cases it is possible to replace the background as quickly as we did in the first case, because for example in this image practically merges with the background, and it will probably be difficult to find a suitable tolerance for this case. Therefore, it makes sense to create an elliptical selection and convert it using the keyboard shortcut Ctrl plus Shift plus I, and I have already done it. And we need to unlock the layer. Press Delete to delete the background, and that's how I did it. I'm removing the selection. And now let me try to fill in this transparent area on a new layer. Of course, it is possible to do it on this layer, but it is always better to do such operations on different layers. It is worth getting used to it. I created a new layer below the layer with my image, and let's fill it in. And let's do it this way. We'll go into Edit, select Fill, and we'll have such a window that allows us to choose what we will fill. Well, I think it is pretty obvious. Background color, foreground color, and the color that you can choose from the color palette. You can also choose a pattern, black, 50% gray, and white, and you can choose the blending mode and opacity. You can also keep the current transparency. Let's choose a pattern. Among the sets of pattern that I have, I choose this one, which we'll use to fill. Take a look at what I've got. It is such a pretty pattern, but the possibility of filling doesn't end there. There is also such a fill, which is called Content Aware Fill. And in version up to 2018, in order to use it, you also need to go to Edit and select Fill. And here you'll see, among the listed parameters, the Content Aware Fill, and you can use it. But in new versions, the Content Aware Fill option has much more capabilities, and it is opened another way. And now we'll see how we can do it in new versions. Here we'll cancel everything and move on to the other file. Let's take this file with spices, and let's say we need to remove this spoon and fill this place where it is located with the background color. Now there will be an action somewhat reminiscent of what we did with the patch tool, but the fact is that we don't always have enough areas nearby that we can apply using the patch tool. That is, we may simply not have enough free space near the item that we want to remove. Well, let's get started. I take the lasso tool and select this spoon. I just rudely select it. Let's say I want to remove it. I have selected it, and select Content Aware Fill. This window, consisting of two other windows, opens. On the left side, you see directly what you are working with. The green color that reflects the mask shows the source area. Yes, my spoon was removed very well. I have free space here, but you can see a small artifact here. That is, part of this spoon and part of this leaf got here. Let's try to change this somehow. As you understand, Now all the space is being used to create a fill area. This whole green area. On the left we have a toolbar. We can take the brush that is at the very top and try to exclude some parts from this area, but in our case it's probably this piece. So look, I clicked and immediately this unnecessary piece disappeared in my right window. If I change my mind, I can hold down the Alt key and this piece can be returned. That is, I have painted older pressing Alt. Well, I won't do it, so I'll cancel the presence of this element once again and move on to the leaf. Reduce the size of the brush. Let's try to swipe here. So apparently some other element. That's how gradually we can erase this whole leaf. And I have a leaf disappeared. But now there is a wrong spot. Let's go to our window. So let's take the lasso tool and try to change the selection area. We can edit it and it will look with a plus. This is how the selection area is added. And you see, the spot is also changing for me. We can, for example, edit more like this. Well, it's already superfluous. Press Ctrl+Z. Or we can, on the contrary, press Alt and reduce our selection area. Well, let's try to do this. And as you can see, the little piece here has become much smaller. We don't need this either. Maybe a little more. No, that's it. In principle, of course, you can still experiment. Try to delete some parts of the selected areas with Alt pressed. But I think it's not very productive. So I think we can leave it like this by pressing Ctrl+Z and press OK. And it will be easier for us to remove this piece some other way. So I press OK. By the way, I didn't say that when I clicked OK, I had the method of output to a new layer chosen on the new window on the right side. And that's why this new piece was formed on a new layer. That is, I can return the spoon and hide it. I cancel the selection. And now, with the help of a spot healing brush tool, I will remove what I have left. Pay attention to the settings at the top of the menu. And I just click on the place that I need to fix. Maybe a little less even. That's all. It's like I have never had a spoon here. If you want to align the texture even more, you can do a few more clicks. Or use, for example, the stamp tool. That is, as you like it best. Of course, in many cases, with the help of content-aware fill, you can immediately remove some part of the image that you don't need and fill it with something that surrounds this object. But sometimes it is enough just to remove the main part of it and then modify it a little with other tools. That in fact is all I wanted to tell you today about the filling. Let's move on to our homework. So the first homework assignment will be to fill the white background with a colored color. The second homework task will be filling with patterns. And at the same time, you'll remember an elliptical selection if you suddenly forgot how it can be transformed and inverted. I remind you that in order to transform the elliptical selection, you need to go to the menu and select Transform the selected area. And if you have a new version of Photoshop, at the same time you have to press the Shift so that it is convenient for you to transform exactly the way you want. And in all the versions, you don't need to press the Shift. And the third homework task will be to remove the spoon that I removed. Or maybe you want to remove some other object from this still life with the help of a content-aware fill option. I hope that the lesson was useful to you. It was Peter Romanov and AIM School. See you next time.